Hello and happy Friday. Hope you've had a good week. I hope you're going to have a good weekend. Back with another one of these. And the Black Sands of Time are now active. And we're going to jump right in with a question from Rubber John. Rubber John, I like that name. What were the conversations with East West like when they saw the Fishing for Lucky's fan club album was doing so well? I don't know what those conversations were like because I wasn't there, because I wasn't speaking to them. I do know we were about $250,000 in debt and I just wanted to get off that label by any means necessary. And we did, and so did the debt, which was nice. But I think the only reason that they wanted us on the label is because we owed them money, not because they had any real support or belief in the band. But the conversations, I would imagine, were pretty fucking interesting because they'd give us those songs. You can do what you want with those songs, is what they said. And so we took all the songs that they didn't want to use, put them on a fan club album, and before the album they wanted to release was out, we released this fan club album. They didn't realise that a lot of our fans were actually people who worked in magazines. So people in the fan club who worked with Kerrang reviewed it, and Classic Rock and Raw and all those magazines that were around in the 90s. And they all give it 5 out of 5. And they were like, okay, I think we might have dropped a bollock. And so, yeah, the conversations, I don't imagine many people heard those conversations because they were probably centered around the fact that they made a big mistake, and corporates don't like to admit making big mistakes. But they obviously did because they bought the songs back off us and released them on another album. And I think they realised that they just fucked it all up. I mean, the 90s was a very, very strange time. And I think after Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, just before Oasis, they just wanted simple albums. They didn't realise the concept of a double album could be something that was viable, especially commercially. But that artistically, they didn't see any value in doing something of artistic value. So yeah, I think they probably were discussing how can we get out of this and save some face. I think they were the conversations, and God knows what the specifics were in those conversations. But yeah, it obviously was, let's get them songs back because they're obviously not shit and we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Stephen Handley says, please, 3 pleases. Do the horror list. The last great horror I watched was The Sadness. I liked The Sadness. I didn't love it. It was one of those, like the Train to Busan movies where everyone was, oh, you'll love it. You'll love it. There's so much, blood and stuff. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't seem vicious. The Sadness was missing something. It was like people trying, let's make a really vicious movie who didn't really know how to make a vicious movie. Let's just have loads and loads of bad taste, a monster, a bald man wanting to fucking rape women. And I'm like, oh, it's just a little bit childish or something. It just wasn't horrific for my personal tastes. So I liked it, but I didn't love it. But a horror list, yeah. I tell you what, if I do a horror list, there's not going to be very many new horrors because The Substance, I really like The Substance just because that was twisted people making a movie. By the end of it, you were just like, I'm in your hands. You've got me. Take me where you want. So I really like that one. That was probably the last great. I didn't like Longlegs, didn't like Pearl, and all them A24 kind of movies. I like A24 movies, but not their horror movies. I think the horror movies just aren't horrific anymore. People need to start making monster movies with no jokes. None of this kind of self-awareness. We're in a horror movie bollocks. I don't want to know that the director understands that he's making a horror movie. I want monsters. I want monsters and extreme gore. I don't reckon I'm alone in wanting horror to be monsters and extreme gore. I think there's a lot of people would love that. And the fact that no one's doing it, the only monster movies are kind of aimed at teenagers, like the Godzilla movies and all the rest of it. An 18 certificate horror movie with monsters and fucking blood and guts. Yes, I think that would be very... I mean, look at the Terrifier movies. Surely they've proved that you can take things completely out of the mainstream and still end up in the mainstream. There was a lot of... Guys, the Gore and the Terrifier movie... I mean, apart from the fact that I find the Terrifier movies really boring because they try and shoehorn some subplots in a movie where all people want to see is the fucking clown chopping people up. That's the only reason people go to those movies. But they've proven that you can make an extreme movie and it'd be really fucking popular. So hopefully there's a lot of people going away thinking, need to rejuggle this fear of splat. So yeah, I like the idea of doing the horror thing, and we should. What do you think, producer Phil?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. So there you go. Probably going to happen. And I'm quite excited about that. Would it be a top 10? I don't know if it'd be a... Top 10 would mean that I've got to either restrict it to 10 or I've got to try and fill it out around to a round number. Now, I might only be able to think of 7 fucking 10 out of 10 horror movies. So we just do that. I've got a funny feeling there'll be fucking loads. It'll be more like 25. But, you know, I like the idea. Oh, here we go. Oh, I was dreading this one. Did you go to Glastonbury or watch any on TV? If you were offered a slot to play, would you accept? I read a quote from Rod Stewart saying they paid him less than it cost to transport all his gear and band over. Would you ever play a festival if it cost you more than you'd earn? Fucking hell, we're doing that this weekend. A lot of festivals don't pay well enough for you to cover your costs. You play shows to play festivals. No, I didn't watch Glastonbury. I've got no interest in Glastonbury. My problem with Glastonbury is they're making music exclusive. And if music isn't inclusive, then what's the point of it? It defies the whole reason for music being a thing. Music is supposed to unite people. It's supposed to unite people from around the world because it doesn't even have language barriers. It is just sonics. It's the sound of the human condition. Glastonbury, Michael Eve is saying that if you don't agree with our politics, stay away. What kind of basis is that for a festival that's supposed to be all about peace and love? You know, if you're a peaceful person in your left wing or you're a peaceful person in your right wing, you should be able to go to the same fucking music festival. Or am I just going mental? Has things changed so much that there isn't any space in music for fun anymore, for singing about the celebration of life, how great it is to go out on a weekend, how great fucking is when you're young? Why is no one singing about young people fucking? And I fear that Generation Z have got nothing really to cling on to. They're so polarised. And I think that polarising people in music is wrong. There's always been and always should be freedom of speech. And there's always been Woody Guthrie's, there's always been Billy Bragg's, and never should that change. I love political music, but only when it's in an arena with non-political music. Surely the polar thing, the balance, you've got to get the balance. Music is all about balance, bringing people together. And when music stops bringing people together, it's the enemy of music. Right now, Glastonbury are probably regretting their decision to put someone who is obviously going to say something contentious before the band that have been banned from playing. The BBC knew what was going to happen. They didn't know the backlash, but read the fucking room. What do you think's going to happen? If you go on there and you have a fucking opinion on trans, or you have an opinion on the Middle East or whatever, you know that it's suddenly stopped being about music. It's a hot topic that just generates hate, and all it is hate bait. Is that what they call it? Hate bait? It's a good fucking term anyway, if that's not what they call it. I don't get where music's gone, how music's being allowed to do this and just be all so fucking serious. Life is serious. We don't want fucking the 9 o'clock news on stage exclusively. It's like, if you don't agree with our politics, stay away. Like, do you look up Glastonbury, look up Glastonbury Festival, look at what it's become, and if you're saying, well, okay, we've took what it's become and we've made it a left-wing political rally, it's extremities. Extreme right and extreme left are both fucking extremes, and that's not where the solution lies. The solution lies in understanding both sides of the argument and finding a balance. Yes, music's always had people with political views, and there's nothing wrong with musicians airing their political views, but that's not what music is solely about. It's the end when you get a festival saying, if you're not left-wing, you can't come. It might as well be, if you're not right-wing, you can't come. You know, it's the left have become just as much of a pariah as the right. And, you know, as someone who's had a history of being left-wing, and to my probably detriment, believing that socialism was going to be a thing. And now I've got away from my political hang-ups and I can see it from a distance. And I can see that if you're, protest about whatever you want, but do realize that it's not a solution. What you're not offering is a solution. What you're offering is more fuel for the fire. You're not changing anything. If you're just going to protest, I think that the only way you can change anything is by backing away, looking at the bigger picture, trying to understand that these are humans. Obviously, the problem in Gaza is there's fucking innocent people being killed. The problem with Israel was there was innocent people being killed. Fucking Netanyahu, the Hamas, obviously, cunts. The fucking lot of them, absolute cunts. But we're letting the cunts control the narrative. We're letting the media who are getting fucking clickbait because of this narrative that they're fucking spreading. All the musicians are doing is feeding into that fucking fire. And all they're doing is exacerbating the problem. They're not the problem, but they're part of the problem because they're not part of the solution. That's my political view on all of that. And I think Glastonbury is probably going to get a big shake-up, even if it's just on the surface. If they still want to be militant, left-wing, fucking political flags in the air, I don't think they can be. Now I think they're going to start thinking about, when people talk about Rod Stewart and the Prodigy, just going on there and entertaining the fuck out of people. And there's no fucking agenda of any kind. And I think Glastonbury are going to go away and start thinking, we probably need a little bit more fun on here. And have the fucking political stuff going on at the same time. But to say that if you don't adhere to our politics, you're not welcome, well, it's certainly not what music's about. And it's definitely not what fucking Glastonbury was always about. So yeah, I would play Glastonbury if they get back to a fucking level playing field. Music is about unity. Glastonbury is supposed to be about unity, bringing people in. You can be left-wing, you can be right-wing, but if you love music, you can also fucking cuddle each other and have a fucking good sing and a good drink. That's supposed to be the whole fucking reason for music. And definitely festivals. The celebration of music. What happened to celebrating life? Yes, we all know it's fucking shit out there. We all know there's fucking terrible things. We all know that mankind has a capacity for cruelty beyond any other living thing. We get it. What's the alternative? What's the solution? Or what's just a fucking a healthy distraction that involves fucking getting pissed, singing, having a shag, fucking whatever it is that you do. That's supposed to be fun. That's my political views. End it there. But yeah, I would play Glastonbury if they asked us. And if they play Glastonbury and there's fucking, Screwdriver on the fucking stage, I'd probably be, I'm not sure. Because again, it's extremes. But let's talk about it in the comments. Or continue to ask me about this. Because I've got a lot of feelings about the way that music is being steered. And it's all being steered by the same cunts that own the fucking red tops and the same cunts that pay the government to say what they want them to say. The same people that knew Starmer was going to get in before it even went to a vote. So yeah, you're going to fucking throw stones at something and think that it's going to change anything, or do you try and fucking back off and represent peace? If you represent peace, then yeah, you got a chance of getting through one person at a time. That's my take. Papa D says, I've been clean of drugs for 35 years, yet sick of drugs still brings me right back to that breaking point towards needing to get clean. In a good way, not in a depressing way. Yeah. There's a few people that I love who are going through a very similar thing. And I've said it before, and I will continue to say it, and probably face a little bit of backlash, but drink and drugs to me aren't the problem. Drink and drugs are the solution to the problem. A temporary solution that doesn't work. If you're going to try and numb the problem with anything, whether it's drinking, drugs, hurting yourself, getting into trouble with the fucking police, starting fights, all of these things are ignoring the problem. And I think a lot of the time drink and drugs get a bad rep because people aren't dealing with their own problems. I'm really, really glad to hear that you've been clean for 35 years. A lot of people I know who've been clean for any number of years just wouldn't be here otherwise. And I know a couple of people right now who are looking like they're going the same way. Unless they start looking at their own problems, they're not going to get clean. They've got no intention of getting clean. The problem's still there. They're just finding things to fucking plasters to stick on top of it to make it start bleeding, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You've got to go and you've got to, look at yourself. You've got to tackle things that your ego doesn't want you to do. I'm going to have a little drink of coffee here and talk about ego for a while. Because ego, I've been thinking about this, meditating on this, and I don't mean staring at a wall, chanting anything. I just mean you can meditate where whatever you find gives you peace. I've been meditating on the problems and on the subject of ego. And the ego wants to live in the past. The ego is a sum of everything that's happened to you. The ego isn't thinking about the future. The ego is thinking about, comfort, even if it's comfort in something that makes you unhappy. It's still a kind of comfort, a familiarity. So I've been thinking your body is a kind of consciousness, the same as trees have consciousness and animals have a sentient consciousness, and that's where ego lives. And I think that there's two, not people, but there's two entities that are in you. There's the consciousness of your ego. It understands what it is it wants to do, and it thinks it knows best, and that is your body. And then the thing that isn't your body, consciousness we call it, again, consciousness, it doesn't really, it's a bit of a one-size-fits-all concept, Anyway, you'll have your ego consciousness, which is your, understanding of what your body can do, what it wants to do, and then you have consciousness as in the next thing, the thing that's pulling you up from this experience to evolve into the next level of human development. So you've got a battle of two. When people look at good and evil, that's probably what they really mean. The battle of good and evil is your ego takes over and it can pull you into dark places in ascending dark energy. What that energy goes and does, or if there's anything up there that's in control of that, I mean, who knows? It could be two warring factions of aliens, the fucking reptile ones that are the devil and the fucking sentient ones that the divine ones that are God. If it's human beings evolving, chances are it's going to be a bit like that anyway, because that's what we're like. But maybe the answer is that's how we're designed. You're given a choice. You're put here forgetting all of this, where you come from, where you're going to go, what the point is, and your business here is to, wouldn't it be awful if I say fucking football teams? Anyway, but your business here is to try and remember what the point is. And if you just want to follow your dark side, your addictions, your stuff like that, then yeah, you are feeding the negative energy. The ego is taking over. Whereas if you say, it's going to be a lot of hard work, but I'm going to start working from a point of love. I'm going to tackle everything with a positivity, wanting there to be solutions to things. And not just like Glastonbury, adding fuel to the fire of the problem. So yeah, tackling your problems, I think, is the first. It's honesty. You can't tackle your problems and you can't put out forgiveness half-arsed. You've really got to do it, and it's dead scary, and it involves you being really vulnerable. And people, they don't want to seem vulnerable. They think that it's a weakness. It's a fucking strength. It's a strength to hold your hand out there and just go, hey, let's just be bygones, fuck the past, let's get involved in this and do something good today for a better tomorrow. That takes a lot of balls. And I know that because I used to think that it was weakness, trying to be the better person, trying to look for a better future. It was like, no, he's a cunt, or I'm an addict, or I've got fucking chemical imbalance. Yeah, chemical imbalance, yes. It is a chemical imbalance. The guy probably is a cunt. It is a big problem, but it's rectifiable. That's the difference. You and your divine side, and the one that wants to pull you up from this fucking negative miasma that we find ourselves in the world, especially now, but it's always been like this. Yeah, that's, you got to really believe there's a worth in that. And I think that is one of the divine points where your life suddenly starts heading in a more positive direction. Accepting your addictions and working your addictions and getting something like 35 years of being clean, you're heading in the right direction, mate. You're heading in the light. You've seen a problem and you've dealt with it, and fucking good on you. Honestly, very, very proud of you, Papa D. Keep it up.